Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fun and Games Podcast. I'm Jen Moonen.
And I am Matt A.K. Stormgeddon.
And you're listening to episode 213. And this episode, I'm going to take that again. I'm going to give you 3 different ones, and we'll just work with the best one that we've got. And this episode, and this episode, and this episode, we are joined by Rachel Music, the head of audio for Good Story Guild and voice director for the upcoming game Cat Secretary, which the very large, substantial demo should be out right around when this episode drops. So, Rachel, thank you for joining us.
Oh my God, thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you here. It's very funny how the world works. I've known you since the debut, basically, of Magical Girl Burlesque, a burlesque troupe here in New York. We met when I was DJing and hosting burlesque shows, and you were performing in burlesque shows.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think that was 7 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that.
At least. I think 2017 to 2019 was my real heyday.
Yeah,
that sounds about
right.
right.
I remember that a lot. And it's funny, we'll be talking about audio, is that one of the first real audio engineering things I got into was for the routine that you DJ'd for. The now, I want to say, infamous Werner Herzog routine.
Yeah.
People either loved it or hated it, but it was my most requested routine.
I mean, I feel like that's most people's reaction to Werner Herzog.
Yeah, that's also probably valid. Yeah.
So doing him honor.
I think so. I then very briefly dated somebody who worked for TED, the TED Talk people. The TED Talk. That's the TED.
The Ted.
He was the Ted. I dated Ted, and he knew Werner through somebody, and I heard he actually sent the video to Werner, but never heard back, which slightly devastates me.
I feel like that's one of those things where I don't know if I could deal with anything besides, like, at least a B from Werner Herzog on that.
Yeah, it's probably true, because the feedback might have actually just annihilated my soul. But then again, does anyone want to hear a 3-minute someone doing a really bad impression of you and stripping to it?
I mean,
no music.
I will have to say, though, that your impression of him is by far not the worst, because I've heard a lot of them, and there are definitely worse out there.
Well, everyone has one, and everyone picks a certain, style of Werner to emulate. And I keyed in on one particular documentary, the one where he talks about the penguin walking off into its solitary life. And you just like pick the one. The problem is if you like try to do too much of it, it's like everyone's like got the walk-in or the trump or whatever. If you pick like a time.
I was about to say, Werner Herzog is a lot like a walk-in, is a Michael Caine is.
Yes. When are you doing it? When are you doing it? Which one are you doing?
Right. I would say David Hayter as Snake is also the same. Like, everyone can do a version, especially when you're just saying 2 words.
This is the second time David Hayter has come up in an hour.
Amazing.
I mean, he comes up almost every day for me, but that's my life.
Heyo.
That's me.
So, Rachel, you and I kind of lost touch for a while, and then my spouse was at a podcast convention, an audio convention, and ran into you randomly, and you just got to chatting about your respective work, and then and I think it was you, Sarah Storm? Like Matt Storm, Sarah Storm?
I mean, on the producing side, it was a name that I knew, but you and I had much more interface, so it was I'm like, Storm. Now, to be fair, Sarah came up to me and was like, Kitty Hawk. And nobody does.
Oh, that's right, anymore. Because she remembered you by that name. That's right.
And it's wild. I had my whole that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
In a very long time.
Long time.
I love it. It was great, because being a creative person at a podcasting conference that is mostly trade oriented, where everyone's just, how do I maximize my advertising revenue, and how do I beef up my B2B game? And I'm there as an audio fiction representative. I wanted to claw my own skin off. So having somebody approach me and be like, Kitty Hawk? It was a fucking lifeline. Oh my God. I'd never. Thank you. It was the door on Titanic. I got on. Ugh.
And it was so fun to then, Jen, to come to me and be like, so my friend's making this game.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be a great fit. And I was like, her name is Rachel Music. And I went, I know that name. And so, Jen, did you also meet Rachel through Magical Girl? I don't remember.
I sort of did. We met through the nightlife scene. It wasn't at one of Shelley's shows, was it?
It very well might have been, but you may not even know how wild the intersection is because Future Proof.
Yes.
Yes. So we shared a producer.
Oh, amazing.
So I got to see Jen do this really. Do you remember the name of that android character, that sort of wild robot?
John Point.
Yeah, that MC. That show was wild. You guys could probably do an entire episode about that show and the trajectory.
We did.
We had Shmei on because they released a game a while back. They did my image shows up in it, but it doesn't have any voice. Yeah, it's got me in the John Point suit in it. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a visual novel, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're dating all of your apps.
It was a wild experience. I went on, I think, a first date, like a Tinder date. Not a great date, so I got to go, I know so many people in this cast, and I know your stage manager, and I know that, this is amazing, and I can just sort of ignore this really awkward first date that's not going very well. And I'm going, holy shit, dick move. And then you fast forward many years, and I am at PAX Mix last August, and I run away from my post.
Right. I am at the first kiosk that I finally managed to get to start playing something. And I'm just kind of like, I'm just getting into the swing of things. I'm like kind of idly chatting with the developers, but not really.
Yeah.
You like sidle over and are just like, hey. Because yet again, like Sarah's able to go up to you and go, Kitty Hawk. And that's like, if they were wrong, that's fine.
Yes.
My stage name in burlesque is Dick Move.
I couldn't just walk up and go, Dick.
Right. At a gaming convention? So yeah, it was just like, are you from or wherever in New York? Yeah. Did you do nightlife? Yeah. Dick move. And then I played in no other games that night. It was great.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad for that. But now,
Please
look,
don't.
here we are, 10 months later, and we've made this
Here
happen.
we are.
So,
Yeah. Look, this is prompt for us because, scheduling schedules and stuff. And also, I think it's important that we are here to talk about Cat Secretary.
That's true. I'm sorry. We're going to get so much B-roll.
Oh, that's fine. So Good Story Guild has released many podcast and audio, and now you're releasing a video game. And there's kind of a through line there, but I'm curious a little bit about the story of how you go from making some really cool podcasts to making a full-blown video game.
So we were founded a little over 3 years ago, and it was me. It was my close friend Elsie, who that's how Jen and I have a mutual connection.
Yep.
And Carrot, who was in an MFA program with me. So we were both screenwriters. We were in LA struggling because newsflash, really hard to be a writer right now.
Yeah.
And so we teamed up with somebody that we met in California at the time who was more on the Hollywood side of things. And initially, as we are cooking up the concept of this company, it was really half-baked. We built this plane while we flew it. We had screenwriters, we had a producer who was involved in immersive events and theatrical things. I had a circus and a theater and a voiceover background. Carrot came from tech. How are we going to reconcile all of this? And what we all had was just the desire to be making things not under the purview of shareholders and not dependent on manager and production house mandates.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is if you want to do it all yourself. And so eventually, after about 14 months of shaking things out together and roughing together our first limited series, Divorce Ranch, which was me really figuring out and getting my feet under me as an audio producer and director in that case, we focused in on here are the strengths that we have. We have this really strong tech basis from Carrot, who came from the product development side. He is such an organizational wonk, and his love is video games. He's a fantastic screenwriter, very, very funny, and turns out I'm also a lifelong video games person, but my love language is, music and voice acting and characters and that thing. If I'm never on stage again, it'll be too soon. But if I can be in a little dark room by myself doing funny voices, that's my happy place.
Earliest memories for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was a latchkey kid. It was mostly just me in my closet doing funny voices.
Yeah.
And Elsie is just a font of both creative energy and creative support, and is a really, really sharp eye for taste. And we call her the lore empress, and we call her the sniper, because what you want is you want Elsie to come in at the very end and sort of tweak out these little concepts. So we've ended up having this really beautiful trifecta of Carrot, who is a big idea person, me, who is sort of a grinder and a noodler, and then Elsie, who is, fine-tuned. It takes a long time to to figure out what a venture is going to be, but we knew that the partnership was strong from the get-go.
Yeah.
So we decided, hey, do you know what? No one will pay to make a pilot, and no one will greenlight your horror film. And if you want to make it yourself. And I went, hey, y'all, do you know that for a fraction of the cost, you can make something that is narratively interesting, that has a really great cast, you can get score, you can get sound design, and it's just a smaller package. And if we start in audio, we can make a proof of concept to sort of cut our narrative teeth so that we're not throwing money after money after money to prove that we know what we're doing. That is how the limited series and the audio wing started. And almost as soon as we had one product under our wing, which was in this case Divorce Ranch, we started talking about, well, what's next? And of course we have like a tech wonk who's like, let's talk about 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And one day out of nowhere, Carrot has this deck that he puts together about how it's not TV, it's HBO. It's not TV, it's not film, it's not printed books. That video games and interactive are really where all the money is going. And I hate cynical pitch decks like that, but it was meant to be, if we want to be doing something creative and we're looking for a place to allocate resources, video games are a place where we can be narratively interesting, narratively bold, and there won't be somebody from Warner Brothers breathing down our neck being like, but what if you made it really appealing to the Chinese audiences? And we don't have to deal with any of that. We can just take a big swing. And that was like 2 years ago. And now we're looking at the game, and Cat Secretary was initially going to be like a Papers, Please. It was the simplest concept. And as we yes-anded ourselves, and as we went, ooh, but what if? And then we brought on, we got the writer's room together. We had no idea how to make a game. And we did it probably every way wrong.
Good. Amazing.
I think we did everything wrong. We did everything out of order. But in doing so, we started with a game director and a head of art. And those are the two things. And meantime, just everyone on the ground is talking about concepts and stories. And we knew we wanted a few things. We knew that we wanted it to be strong audio because they had me. And we, at this point, from making all these audio projects, had a really, really robust network of voice actors who would work again with us in a heartbeat. Because I love being loyal. I love bringing people back into big theater camp vibes.
Hear, hear.
We had access to that. We had access to some really top-notch sound designers. So we go, if Good Story Guild makes a game, it's going to have really great audio, and it's got to have a really good story. That's the price of admission. If it does not have those two things, it's not a Good Story Guild game. Everything else, kind of up for grabs. And that meant that we had the biggest spaghetti at the wall conversations of, what if it's not a Papers, Please? What if it's like a cozy Kojima? Oh, okay, that's cool. So we end up having these really, really fun sort of open-ended brainstorm questions because we don't have an immediate deadline. We don't have an immediate budget. We don't have anything that we are held to, which allowed us to sort of cook for a really long time and pivot. So first we bring a writer's group together, and a game that seems like it's going to be about one thing is actually going to be about AI. And I have eaten shit since then, because 2 years ago I was going, are people really going to want to talk about AI in 2 years? We're going to be so over it. I'm wrong. Egg on my face.
So good to be wrong.
Only gotten, I'm sick of talking about it.
Fair.
Well, yeah, we all are, I think.
But now we get to be like really taking a swing. And the thing I'm most excited about and most proud of is I love this game. It's very cute. It's very cozy. The narrative is engaging. And we get to, because we are beholden to nobody, we take some shots. We take some big, nasty swings about AI, about the industry. I understand everyone's got a spectrum of views on it, but Good Story Guild is pretty just avidly. Everything we do is touched 100% by human hands, and we don't. We don't use it. We like being people and keeping people in the creative seats, please and thank you.
Hell yeah. When you got to the idea that, of course, a Good Story Guild game should have good audio and good writers because of what you've done before, and this was proof of concept for film, for storytelling in a Hollywood sort of way, for lack of a better term. Yeah, this is the next obvious thing.
Yep.
Everybody you already have working on Good Story Guild projects are used to some version of what would go into making something like Cat Secretary or any others. And I do have to ask, a Papers, Please kind of Cat Secretary thing, is it just you're trying to do menial tasks, but you're crap at them because you don't have thumbs?
So I thought it would be like a surgeon simulator. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Like where you do it poorly and struggle a body like as you
You're trying
would.
to click,
as it were.
but you only have little jelly beans. Yes. There was a moment where it was like that because that was my pitch. It was like, but you're a cat. Can we stimulate that? Because Surgeon Simulator is so fun in that way.
Right.
Infuriating. It was originally more of a, let's look at what it would be to be the front desk cat, and you have to, it's really simple. Just someone comes in, do they have an appointment? Do they not? And it was, beginning and shut. And we just kind of dove into, why would a cat be a secretary? What? No, seriously, why would a cat be a secretary?
Who would hire a cat as a secretary?
Who would hire a cat? And finally, and I'll never know who said it as long as I live, so it doesn't matter, but somebody said, well, they've stopped hiring people. And that is kind of what opened the whole door, is a company has stopped hiring people and a cat exploits that loophole. Why have they stopped? Well, because they're automating. It could have been any company. Originally, Docs, the company you worked for, was just a big generic corporation. And we went, well, we've all got bones to pick with production companies. Could we not? What if the company is a production company, is a big media behemoth who has completely let their fan base down by no longer adhering to the values that made them what they were, and now they're pricing out everybody, and I'm going to stop talking for legal reasons, but you know.
I mean, people should check out the demo. There's still a little bit of that. You're trying to do your secretarial duties, but you're just a little cat.
Yeah.
You try to fill the coffee maker, and all that's in there.
Yeah, I will say that when I played it and when watching other people at PAX East play the demo, because you don't start with your little collar and tie, but the minute you get your collar and tie, audible gasps every time. It
was magical.
That makes me so happy.
It is very magical. Also, I think what's really great, I've known you for quite some time, Rachel, and you've dabbled in a lot of things, play music, audio, visual, all this stuff. The ridiculousness of Cat Secretary fits the artistic person I've known over the years, right? Of just what if it were wacky? It can make sense, but also what if it didn't quite make sense? The fact that you started from such a humble place and just we don't have a long history of other games we've done. We don't have a corporate overlord looking over at us, so let's just throw around ideas. I love hearing that kind of story because Jen and I have talked a lot over the last few years. Some of the biggest games are companies out from under the thumb of a large producer. You just don't get that when there are 1,800 people in the room. Not often anyway. And so the fact that you had this small team and came to this, and then I'll admit also, I saw Cat Secretary for the first time without knowing it was your game. I just saw it and went, this is a cool looking game. And I think what's important about it is that you guys understand the assignment. You're taking the narrative, the moral narrative, really seriously, while also taking none of the actual narrative or characters that seriously at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's the recipe for success, is that kind of wiggle room between humor and seriousness that kind of gets to this place.
You take the process seriously, but never the content.
Yeah, I so appreciate that. I have believed for the longest time, and it's a big reason that I got into burlesque, is I think that people, their hearts open when they laugh, and that's when you can sort of sneak something in there that nobody has their mind changed when they're being preached to or when they're being lectured at. I chronically cannot take myself seriously, and luckily we have a team who are all comparatively afflicted. So while we take Cat Secretary very seriously and like, what does Cat Sec want? But every one of our egos is kind of just flung out the window, and who cares? And we have to be able to take the piss out of ourselves because we're big old goofballs. And the second we get on a soapbox, I'm like, we've lost somebody. I don't want that. My writing partner, Maximilian, will constantly, I'll be really tired. I'm very, very pregnant at this moment. And there are times where I don't want to punch up the script, and Maximilian will stare into his webcam and he goes, Rachel, do you want this line to be the reason someone stops playing the game? And I'm like, oh, you motherfucker. No.
That's a good question.
And
Damn it.
You put another hour in,
I can see him doing that. Yeah, that's amazing. He's intense.
He's intense. He's a genius. I mean, you've now been directed by the both of us.
That's true. That was very funny getting to kind of swap it between the two sessions.
For people who now don't know what that context is, Jen has been on one of our shows, our most long-running show, which is, we have mostly Good Story Guild does limited series, but we also have a show called Josie's Lonely Hearts Club, which is semi-improvised, meaning that the radio show that people are calling into, all the callers are improv. Jen calls and makes me feel like an absolute fool, and then every episode still contains a scripted arc. There is an episode that features both a scripted character done by Jen, Jean-Pierre.
Oui.
The day we are recording this, that episode has now launched. So you should go listen to it. This is another example of we bring as many people over the threshold with us. The thing that kills me in the creative sphere is the ladder being dragged up behind somebody. And in games in particular, I have seen so much less of that on the indie side than in TV, than in film, than in any other industry. Games, it truly feels like there is enough room in this town for the both of us. There's enough room in this town for all of us. And we can all find the game that we want. Oh man, I'm normally so much more articulate, but it's more welcoming than Hollywood certainly was. And the idea of, I want to kick the door open and bring as many of my buddies in with me as possible. So, like, who wants to get in on this action? Who wants a piece of this shit?
Who likes video games? Who wants in?
Yes, that's the who wants in.
Yeah.
Goofy game. Do you guys that's been that's been the clarion call to get people involved, and it's been so heartening and affirming to have people go, yeah, why not? That's just like a warm fuzzy you can't really you can't really sum up any other way. It's like, oh, people trust you and they would like to work with you again because it's fun and you've made them feel valued as a creative. It's the only thing I aspire to. It's just if you've had fun working with us and you want to come back, that means a lot more than pretty much almost any other metric. It's easier said than acted upon. As you know, we're all beholden to the reviews and the likes and the subscribes and the please join our Patreons, but there's a less quantifiable aspect that is just mostly, I think, I can't speak for you, but that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
You're not getting the reviews, or you're not getting the joins or the follows.
Those are nice. Those are more indicators that someone's out there or that something is continuing, but the work is the joy and the output and the people you make it with.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, Jen and I have been very upfront that, like, the minute this stops being fun, we stop doing it. And it's not a, like, bitter or, like, problem thing. It's a true thing. Like, if one of us isn't having a good time anymore, why do it? Because the point is the fun. And, like, to the community end, like, Jen and I talk about a lot, like, we're part of an indie journalistic and content creation community within the game space, and I'm grateful for that too. And it just seems way more welcoming. I know tons of folks who write for and produce for large publications too, and they're wonderful also most of the time. But, like, there's something about the indie community that just feels different in the way we share resources, the way we lift each other up. You can see that with any game that you play in the indie space. I love my fair share of AAA games. Sure. The Wolverine game's coming out this year. Like, I'm shitting myself with excitement. Not now, but I was. Yeah. Now I'm sitting in my chair. Anyway.
One less letter.
To that end, though, whenever I play an indie game, I can feel the love very palpably in a way that I can't always with a much larger team from a big company. It's there without a doubt, right? But when I play a game by, say, 2 developers in India about the pandemic and the loss of a grandparent, like I get walloped by that because it just translates very differently. And to that end, with like knowing your team and knowing how small it is and how focused it is, everything that you guys have put into it, just that what I've seen, which is just the small slice, translates so well. And I absolutely see it without a doubt. And I think that your instinct of like, I always say rising tide raises all ships, right? It's this idea that in these small communities, and we had that in the burlesque community too, right? Yeah. Like I was DJing for lots of larger burlesque troops, but I didn't start hosting until I worked with a brand new troupe that was just getting their shit together because 1, I didn't feel confident enough to do it. And 2, I didn't have a real in for it. But when you're small and you're scrappy and you're just trying to do whatever the hell you can, that's when more people are inclined to say yes to basically anything because you just want to do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of the most exciting evenings of my life I did for $40 and a drink ticket. You know?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, basically.
And I mean,
I did it fighting, having elf ears on and a fake mustache the whole night.
Yeah. Bringing it back to Cat Secretary, so you are in charge of the audio when it comes to this game, and I'm curious, having produced such great content that's only audio, that's in the podcast format, transitioning to producing more audio, but for a video game, what is like the biggest challenge you've had making that pivot? Because I have to imagine there are some pretty big differences from getting audio for just the medium of audio versus something that's going to be integrated with gameplay and video game.
It is. It's been a huge learning curve and really, really validating, but really, really challenging at the same time. And luckily, I'm not doing this alone. So we have hired a Shell in the Pit, and I put forth, please, can we work with a Shell in the Pit? Because they had done Thank Goodness You're Here, which was one of my
incredible
favorite
what a great
games
game
of the past few years.
It's phenomenal.
And I was so impressed with how they played the tones that they would strike, the fact that it was cartoonish but kind of grounded. It's very weird humor. And I said, if I had my druthers, if we could we hire them? Because I'm an actor's first director. I'm primarily on the performance capture side and character building side. I know about Foley, I know about sound design, but I don't know ways. I did not know what an FMOD event was, 2 years ago. Or even a year ago. I was not aware of the intricacies of how to trigger these things. I sort of blindly fumbled my way through it on feel. And most things as a director, I've had to figure that out. So I'll know it when I hear it, and I'll find out when I see it in action. But that's never done in a vacuum. That's always done when you're watching more talented people or people with a different scope of work than you have. So bringing a Shell in the Pit on was really, really interesting because not only was I able to throw a great deal of ideas at them and have them say categorically that will not work, that's not how gameplay works,
right,
to learning things that I hadn't considered. Like one of the very first deliverables we get from them is what it sounds like for Cat Secretary to walk on asphalt versus water versus a desk versus tiles versus a hardwood floor. And of course you have to think about that.
Yeah.
But usually when I'm doing an audio drama, it's going, let's have as few footsteps as possible because they're really fucking annoying. And if you do them wrong, everyone hears it and it's annoying as hell. You can't avoid that. Your character's a quadruped. You're walking most of the game.
Double the amount of steps.
It's all steps. It's all little cat steps. And being able to sit there and go, oh, the cardboard works and the puddle works. There's something missing in the tile. Is it the cat claws? And you type that up and you send that to a professional person. And, and they give you feedback. And they go, yeah, let's try something else. And then you're realizing that every room has ambience and that every object has something about the physics, because you can boop in the game. You can boop almost everything in the game and knock it off, and that's caused a load of headaches for the devs, but everybody appreciates it, because if you're going to play a cat game and not boop shit, we have failed.
This is not a cat game. Yeah.
So we have to figure out what is the boop Foley for everything from a mouse to a vending machine to a potted plant. All of that has been really fascinating to witness and learn, while my main thrust of application in the game has been mostly script outwards, coordinating with the composer, Michelle Sudoth, on how does this world sound musically, then liaising with A Shell in the Pit on how to integrate that, and then the game, the actual performances of the game. And because we have a silent protagonist, so much of the world is built out on everybody that Cat Secretary interacts with. And we decided early on, before we knew what that would entail, this is going to be a fully voiceover game. And if anybody had said, your first game is going to be fully voiceovered, you psycho, we probably still would have done it. But
Challenge accepted.
But challenge accepted. I might have had a better idea that every hour of captured audio becomes about 6 hours of work, which is slightly different. I see the look on your face, Jen. Exactly. Editing's its own thing. I didn't have a script supervisor, so when I'm getting lines from talent, if I'm not writing down every single time, the second take is the one, the third take is the one, I have to listen through that all over again.
Yep.
And there's no way I'm going to outsource that to somebody else because it's my baby. This is my
Right.
You know, it's been a really, really glorious application on how to take what I know and change it. And then also from a performance director perspective, so many of these quests have narrative branches. So I'm talking to actors going, this is what happens if Cat Secretary does this. Now let's reverse that. This is the way the scene plays out if Cat Secretary does this instead, or has not met you, or has not had this interaction yet. And so there's all this keeping that square in your head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's helpful. It's a helpful, and some people take those, like my boomer mom takes like neuroplasticity gummies for her brain, and I record this.
Right. I still remembered working on Future Proof, the amount of not just the one show that we did on the Lower East Side, but all of the things that we did afterwards. I would get so many scripts that I would have to memorize that day. One of the productions that we did at Bowtie Cinema that we did for The Most Dangerous Man.
That's where I saw you.
Oh, that's right. You did see Most Dangerous Man.
Yes.
Yeah. That had so many branches. There were entire 5 to 10 page scenes that might not happen in a performance if a selection doesn't happen. And so you might get 60 pages of script, but I had 110 pages of what I'm not on every single moment, but that level of needing to be aware of the shape of the show. And the fortune that I had was that John was an AI. And so at all points, it is just, we have triggered this. How wonderful. How fun. Now we're going to do this thing versus having to keep the emotional through line. But, you have to choose all of those. And so learning anything about video game narrative, my brain immediately goes, that, but more.
It's juggling. It's keeping a lot of plates in the air and knowing I'm going to mix my metaphors. It's juggling and knowing which balls are glass and which balls are wood, and you know, what you're able to drop. It's been so thrilling to have a sense of ownership of all of this, and you've both played it, so you've both met Obo.
Yeah.
I love being Obo.
It's fun being the AI character. There's just something about it.
Somebody on our Discord was like, I would low-key die for Obo, and I don't think I'd ever felt that kind of...
Those are the reviews you want. You don't need a printed review.
I've never played a cute character. I've only ever played men and villains and sluts. And so the idea that I could just be this super, super happy-go-lucky little robot that helps you out was really, really fun. And part of being on a small team is recognizing how to get the most juice out of every person on your team. And sometimes that means, hey, your director's going to be a cute robot. And sometimes it means, let's make sure that our art director is great, is better than one simple style. So we realized, well, she's great at this anime style. What if there's a dating sim in the game? So we really get every part of the buffalo. I hope that people would say there's a bit of restraint as well, because it would be very easy for this game to have just been myself and my husband doing all the voices. And I think that it would be a worse game if we did that. And that is sometimes what happens when you have teams that are really small, and form should follow restriction. those restrictions can yield a lot of great things. If we were only doing that, I don't think it would be the game that we have. We kept swelling the script and swelling the writer's room and bringing in talented actors because we found ways to utilize them. But yeah, it's just been, we find out that a character has a really good impression of a certain character. And I go, well, great. Well, then Maximilian and I are going to rewrite this character for you. It's a joy to do. And we're able to, because like you said, there's no corporate overlord. Now we're getting to crunch time and we're now Karen, the director, is like, we can't do that anymore. We have to stop promising people. And he's exactly right. But I chronically overcommit to things because I just, oh, wait, one more draft. Oh, but it can only be like 2% better.
But this is the flip side of scope creep, where you have major AAA studios that are just, well, we need to match this, or we need to fit this, and we've got these metrics to do. But it's also, well, we have no corporate overlords. I want to do everything.
Yes.
It's a wonderfully exhilarating thing. And in indie spaces where we're all making the things that we want to make, how far back on the timeline, then you can promise the world, and now you can promise the street corner.
Exactly. And I have to credit our back end with that, and also with Carrot, who has known when to not. Carrot can't bring the hammer down. That's just not in his nature. But has been able to go. This game has gotten. It's so different from what we originally pitched, but now the boundaries are truly set. Like the carapace has hardened, as I like to say, which is weird, and probably because it's soft shell crab season. And I'm hungry. That's probably why I'm going to say it that way. But once the carapace of the game hardened, we knew that scope creep could really only happen as interpolation. It's going to come in terms of polish. We weren't going to add a new character. We couldn't add any more quests, but we could bump the lamp. If you guys know, know this expression.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to figure out what are moments like that. If Cat Secretary falls more than a story, a little parachute pops off out of his collar and settles you down. Little things like that, which I'm back nuts deep into Hades 2 and talk about a game that does not need to have the attention to detail that it does.
Yeah.
The baseline of what it delivers is so satisfying and so good. And yet, the amount of, but if you play this fight with this trinket, having gotten this boon, you get this result.
Yeah.
Hecate's going to talk about your frog. You just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gleaming details.
This is the cat booping. This is the joy of video games and storytelling. There is a greater shape that happens. You can tell it every single way, and this is the clearest part of it. But all of those blurry edges, you get something, you go, well, what happens if I take this with me everywhere? Part of the joy isn't just winning a game, getting to credits, getting a high score. It's finding the ways that the game acknowledges you and has made that space for you. That is the communication.
Oh man, there's a no-clip documentary about Doom, and one of the original builders, I want to say John Carmack, but don't quote me because I don't know which one it was, but he's talking about the existential nature of gaming, and that you can't, they had a problem where you could fire your gun at the wall, and there were no bullet holes in the wall. Well, the game is just spitting in your face then. The game must assert that you exist, and I wonder,
Valve Half-Life, and it was Gabe Newell.
It was Gabe Newell for Valve Half-Life. My husband coming in with the assist. Thank you so much. Of course it was Gabe. Of course it was Gabe, and it wasn't Doom, it was Half-Life. Thank you so much. You saved me from looking like an absolute tool.
I almost yelled thank you to him, but I realized I'm in your headphones.
But that's, and I mean, I'm sure that there's probably an essay in there about how have we as a culture gotten more narcissistic that we even need our media to reaffirm our existence. That's for a different podcast that I'm not qualified to be on.
Fair enough, nor should I be saying this right now, but what is chosen to be the validating factors in a game and in a game world are also part of the conversation. When you get to that idea of, oh, a work of fiction isn't political at all, it doesn't talk about political things, all of the preconceived notions that the writer and creator has still show through in something that is quote-unquote apolitical. And a game that asserts you exist asserts so many things. Well, you shoot a gun and you leave a bullet hole. Well, this is the original form of interaction that is seen in most games, which is violence. But conversations that are seen, and have you completed the friendly quests or the unfriendly quests? How often have you listened to the entirety of someone's dialogue or not? Are those sorts of things. Talking to NPCs in a 1980s computer game or an NES game, there's so few bytes. You can only have so many outcomes. But as we get bigger and bigger in scope, even in indie games, there are so many, we get those Hades 2 potentials, not just the trinkets you have, but who came in and how you did that. You could get the same line with a different read. And so these bits of how we exist also speak to where the creators think we need that validation as the users, but also where the creators see the need for validation in the story they're telling. A cat needs to knock things over.
I love that. And the idea that it has expanded beyond the idea of I am a violent presence with a weapon to I am a thinking presence with a desire to communicate to I am a cat with paws to I am a queer person who would like to see that in my game.
Yeah.
That's
There's
really
lineage.
lovely. Maybe we should be armchair anthropologists more often.
Yeah.
This is why we've been doing this for 9 years. But
Yeah.
on the thought of scope creep and your work within Good Story Guild and Cat Secretary in particular, fun little thing of, well, what can happen right now? And you were talking about needing to realize that, oh, right, you do need footprint Foley for all the different surfaces. You've been getting some pickup audio from people for voice lines.
Yes. So because this is both a narrative-driven game and has a networking component to it, there is a lobby, and every employee, as you interact with them, will come and talk to you in the lobby. And there is a little bit of a relationship-building mechanic that's in there. And now every single character needs emotes and barks in case we write more lines for them, whether that's a patch or some DLC later. But now every character, including mice and roaches, a whole suite of roaches, they have these noises they have to make because playtesters have been, and I joke and say spoiled, but it is more of this affirmation that playtesters would come against a line that we didn't record voiceover for. Just sort of a, let me know when you get that thing, a come back later and talk to me. But
Yeah.
if we didn't have voiceover, playtesters are going, that's a glitch. It's a bug. The voice didn't come through. And we're going, oh, so the dialogue has stopped. We've dropped the ball. So now we need every character to come in and go, huh? Huh. Those old chestnuts.
Yeah, which is the sort of thing, speaking as the voice actor on the call kind of thing here. You are also a voice actor, but also the director here. I imagine you also get plenty of people. It's like, wow, voice acting, that's so cool. What's it like? What do you do? A lot of times you are just in character, making weird noises, breathing heavy,
Yep.
making effortful sounds that don't peak the mic. Because if you want to sound like you're in a fight, but you also don't want to blow out the audio, that's its own weird thing. I didn't have to make any fight sounds for Cat Secretary. Spoiler.
Did I have to? Not me particularly, but we did need to get we've gotten some physical efforts for a boss fight that I won't say anything else about.
Okay.
And it's fun. Now, do you think of barks, efforts, and emotes as three separate things?
I
Because
do.
sometimes I use them interchangeably, and that's my fault. That's my fault.
Normally in the context, I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
It's not like I am certainly not going to sit there and go, I believe you have misconstrued the efficacy of the terminology that you, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
let's make some wordless sounds.
Yeah, a bark is thirsty. Bring me water. And an effort might be just words. I don't know.
It's a way to classify them. Well, the same way that you were saying that you get all of this audio and all of these lines from everybody, because you're not just, the players will hear the lines when they happen. And they don't know how many takes it took to get to each one of those lines. They don't know if at all that line, that whole paragraph was one take or 17 takes all Frankenstein together. Which is usually the case because you get the best of all of it and you let it all flow together. And that's just what happens. But The user shouldn't see that. They don't see that. They see the flats of the stage. They don't see the screws and the pegs holding them up.
Yes.
So you have to go through anywhere from 2 to 10 takes on any one of these lines, different versions of them. And also, I'm sure I'm not the only person you worked with who came up with fun little ideas that went, ooh, let's try that a few times, and now let's do a few times with what's on the page, which also
Yes.
multiplies it. And you have to note all of that.
It's true. And I'm glad you bring up the page, because talk about another way the Good Story Guild did things that aren't necessarily industry standard. Voiceover scripts are rarely scripts. They are often spreadsheets. And so this was something that going into it, I went, do I have to do it this way? And people basically said, well, no one's looking over your shoulder, but we have a spreadsheet for organizational purposes with these slugs, with, and that's mostly for our audio house's benefit. But for the sessions where I'm directing, I want the actors to look at a script, whereas so many of them came into a session going, usually I just get a list of lines out of context. If I'm lucky, I get some concept art.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. And it's why sometimes you'll work with interactive voiceover actors, and they are some of the best improvisers and some of the best swing takers that you'll run into, because so little is given to them on the page. And you need to find out how to say, this fight is futile, Asador. Like
These pretzels are making me thirsty, to use an old reference.
These pretzels are me. That's a much better line. Exactly. These pretzels are me. So you either key into a stock character, or you want to make it your own, or you want to try something different. But I send the script out to actors beforehand so that they can see, well, look, there's a banter here. And it's mostly because it takes work off my thing too. If you know that your line is the setup to a joke, you'll deliver it differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is all production. This is all a line, and it's many intersecting lines. And in any kind of assembly line work, you should be helping the person before you and the person after you. And sometimes those are the same person.
Yeah, and this is mostly yes, it's been me.
It's not so much a line as it's a small volley that comes right back.
Yeah, it's like I've never played squash, but I imagine it's a bit like playing squash. You're stuck in a small, square, windowless room, and this thing that you bonk just keeps bonking back at you at very high velocity, and you have to be on your guard. That's what I imagine it's kind of probably like.
It's probably like that. I don't know. I'm not
I mean,
invited
some
to good
squash
squash
and
games, or even bad squash games.
I will say that while the carapaces we were talking about hardening, knowing that you are closing in on like locking this thing down, I will say that I'll have to wait, I guess, for the inevitable sequel to pitch my cockroach podcaster idea so that Jen and I can both be in the game as cockroach podcasters. Just, podcaster. Also, the image of podcasters as cockroaches, I think, really fits metaphorically.
Yes, it
so
does.
having many of them.
It might not be a sequel, to be totally honest, and I might be telling tales out of school when I say this. I would love for there to be a DLC to this game called Foley Moly. So because this is a production company, because we've already decided that a secretary could be a cat. What if a sound designer were a mole? And I loved the idea of having, like, you do a lot of play. There's a lot of gameplay in the basement levels. And I was like, well, there could be its own game, but I think of it as Cat Secretary DLC, where there's a mole who like has to gather, a bag of change to make spurs noises. And like, what are all these little things that you can gather and bonk them together, and how fun that would be for sound design, because you'd have to make all those combinations. And then you'd have little clips of movies that you would Foley as a mole. Foley Moly. Also, pretty much name backwards. I definitely worked name backwards for that concept. But if it's in the basement, then the mice and the cockroaches have a lot of interface, and you should absolutely be having cockroach podcasters.
Yeah.
Those would be the longest barks, because you would have to be so long-winded as a cockroach podcaster.
Well, because they live forever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true. They could talk endlessly.
Yeah.
Or does that make them wise and quiet?
Right? Yeah. Soft-spoken. Yeah.
They're just the
ISO podcasters.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, speaking of vampire roach, is this the part where we let the good people in on some inside baseball?
Yeah, I think it's a great time. So I am a credited voice actor within Cat Secretary, and I have recorded my lines and my barks and what have you for 2 characters. But there was a third one that you sent me a picture of along with the lines. And I was a little surprised at first because I saw the lines for my other characters, and then it was like, look, I didn't know I needed to play a vampire cockroach. Was it vampire cockroach or goth cockroach? Either way.
Well, he's vamp roach. But
Vamp
he
roach.
looks like a goth. He's got the hair hanging over his eyes.
Well, I think that's why I got mixed up, because I saw the little fringe over his face.
Definitely.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I saw the picture, and we actually talked about this at the end of the session yesterday. We had the fringe on it. I showed it to Sarah, and she immediately clocked the fangs and went, "So you're a vampire?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think we said goth." And then we just started, and Rachel and I just started kind of goofing on different sounds that this character could make. And sky's the limit, because I don't know how many cockroaches you've talked to.
To just this week. Oh, well, I mean, not in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, right?
How many cockroaches have spoken back to you is the better
None.
question.
None.
Yeah.
None. Yeah.
None.
No.
Just that giant.
This
We're all
isn't
New
Joe's
Yorkers. We've
apartment.
talked to a lot of roaches.
There is a at the New York Ripley's Believe It or Not, the Times Square one. There is a thing where you can put your head up through a big plastic dome into a tank covered with Madagascar hissing cockroaches. And me in that little dome going was a little edgy profile pic for 20's Me for a long time. It was
Real.
oh god, that's oh man, cringy.
We've all done silly things, and that seems one of the safer ones.
Yeah. I don't want a picture. I don't want you to perceive me. I don't want my picture to have a normal face. Me looking normal
Obviously
and normal.
not. No. Who wants that?
No. Covered in roaches.
Look, I did that so many times, never questioned why. It's okay.
It's fine. We're all totally well adjusted, and
Oh, yeah.
completely not maladaptive at all. We have no idea how cockroaches sound. There are a few roaches in the game who do have lines. We've got 2 roaches who are sort of they're brothers, and there is some plumbing involved, and that's all I'll say about that.
I see.
I see.
And they go, whoa! But within the game, we have a cockroach real-time strategy mini game, sort of like an Into the Breach with cockroaches, where you send these specialized roaches to deprogram these nanobots, and they have different abilities. The kawaii roach is this cute little pink roach, and she can charm, and then you have one that can fly, and you have one that can blow shit up, and then we have a vampire roach. And full disclosure, I don't know what the vampire roach does.
Amazing.
Even better.
And we get to decide, because they're all over the place. I don't know if there is a silliest element in what is quite a silly game, but the cockroaches are no holds barred. I've just asked every actor to come in to do their silliest voice. So just this morning, we had like a Terry Jones, Monty Python. That was what they did. And I think that differentiation is really important, because you don't want to send a bunch of roaches who all sound like they're doing this, because it's really easy to just, everyone's going to do that. So you don't want to do that. That annoys me to do that for 4 seconds. So the idea of variety, like, it would totally make sense for Vamp Roach to, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, like,
Yeah.
or could for all we know, could absolutely sound like yes, I will go.
Well, that's what I started doing yesterday. So
You in full Transylvania?
yeah, I think we
must stick around with it and do it this way. It's still a bit Terry Jones. And
I think the eyes I'm making when I do that really sell it.
Yeah, I think so too. If only
the
listeners could see what they're hearing.
But that's voiceover. You need to look complete. If you look dignified doing voiceover, you're
doing it
letting
wrong.
everyone
You're doing it
down.
wrong. Yeah, you're not you're not. You got to leave it in the booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to spend yourself here.
So for this guy, what would you my gut says, because we have a couple of roaches that are up in here. Let's see if we can play in this, because you do have a beautiful low register.
Thank you.
And I think that having a juxtaposition of all of these aye aye and yes sir and you got it and you're on it, to have a very apathetic, really, really down emo roach who like doesn't really want to be doing this. I'm sorry. I realize I'm coming perilously close to giving you a line read. It's just
I know. We're going to have fun with this, though. I guess. It's the most fun I've had in a while.
I have my, I don't have to share my screen, but there are five little thingies I need from you.
Okay.
So there's a part where every roach is rioting to be shown a movie. So they're chanting, movie, 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 in that cadence.
Do you want me to follow the cadence, or do you want me to be kind of a counter?
I think you got to do it in the. Let's get both.
Okay.
Let's get both, because it might be fun to have it trail off and have you as an outlier. But I've learned that sometimes the idea that tickles me the most in the moment is not the one that works, and I need to get a safety anyway.
I'm a big believer in safety.
Yes.
Movie, 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 movie.
Well, there's his ASMR for the podcast. Very cool. And how does that roach cry?
I'm going to try that again. That sounded too much like an old man.
Can I get a snotty sniff in there? Yeah, that's the stuff. Excellent. Okay. Now, Vamp Roach, you have been deployed. It's very important. I need you to go out there. I know, get off your ass, get off your abdomen. I need you to go get in that square.
None of this matters anyway. Just be me and Twinkies when this is all done.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
Awesome. And then one more on a whatever.
Whatever.
Ooh, great. I loved the noise beforehand. Might use that separately. Then can I just get a whatever clean?
Whatever.
Beautiful. So now you've hit one of these nanobots. You've destroyed it with whatever your special ability is. I'm going to really look like an asshole for not knowing what it is. But this is the equivalent of a direct hit. How does he celebrate?
Soon we'll all be part of the void. Back into the darkness from which we came.
I love these, and almost everything longer than 2 syllables I won't be able to use.
Bye now.
I will find ways to sneak it into like an ambient as you walk around.
Fair enough. Okay, 2 syllables. Got it.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Cool explosion.
Too many syllables.
Oh. Pretty. That's cool.
I think it's going to be that one. And then lastly, you've taken damage. You've been struck.
Ow.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep, 3 of 4. 3 of 4, and I have that on my local site. So it'll be like, who's the third one? The third one of 4. Sweet. So I don't know. I hope this is helpful for listeners, because I have no idea how normal that is for other studios. Usually it's like it's the Wild West. I've recorded for projects that are completely asynchronous, and they just want me to send them files. And sometimes I'll send them just one 20-minute file complete with, oh, no, that's not good. Let me do something else. And sometimes they want you to send up these perfectly, no longer than 4-second clips to a Dropbox, and it's in Flax, and It's always different, and being
Yeah.
directed is kind of its own deal. But I hope that was helpful for.
I think that's a fun look into things. And no, yeah, I'm working on an audio drama right now that I'm doing closer to the form of what you were describing. I certainly will cut out me being like, oh, let me try that again. But I just kind of just send the editor a full on like, here's everything for the episode. Here's all of my lines. I'm doing a couple takes on them. Pick your favorites. If you need retakes, let me know. And
That's often and that's often a way to do. Oh crap! You're reminding me. I technically have some lines promised to another producer that I have not recorded yet.
we never stop.
Yeah. No, that's and it's super common. But in the indie world, that it's you get what you can when you can get it on your budget, and sometimes time is the crunch factor, and it's what people. Yeah.
With indie productions, it's going to be very different. Production to production. And just in my limited experience, actually my larger experience with podcasting, one podcast will record one way, another podcast will record another way. Some use Riverside, some use Zoom, some use local audio, some use whatever. We've all cobbled together these things that started as hobbies however we could by the grit. And then I still use Audacity because that's what I learned to start doing, right? That's how I do my audio.
Bless you.
Most people don't, but I know this tool backwards, forwards, and upside down, and I can get the audio from other programs out of this one because I'm experienced with it. But I think when you're trying to do something from a negative space of experience, you're going to do what you think works. And you won't be until you interact with other folks in the field and you go, oh yeah, I did it this way. They went, you did?
Yeah.
How? And it's like, but it's we all learn however we can. And the behind the scenes of a session is, I would think, helpful to a listener just to kind of get a little peek behind the curtain. I mean, we've had voice actors on the show before, and often they talk about their specific experience in a booth or in a session, but that's going to be so different from the voice director's perspective or the audio engineer's perspective or whatever. And I think hearing all of that, at least for me, just being the audience, I was basically the person leaning back in their couch eating popcorn gif while Jen did all this. So it was fun for me if nothing else.
I love that. And there's no standard. There's a 5 different voiceover directors would do it 5 different ways because some are more technical and some are more, character based, and some might, I don't know how many, but some might be like, can we get more chest resonance in there? I didn't get enough of a glottal stop. You want to bring the IPA into this? Yikes. Okay, that's fine. That's totally their purview.
Right. It's how they think, or it's sometimes how the actor thinks too. And it's just that way of all of this is communication, collaboration, teamwork.
Yeah.
And I'll say that Jen, if you were any other actor, I don't think that Matt would have heard the same 5 minutes because you and I have a rapport and we've figured out sort of how to work together. And the secret sauce, what I've enjoyed the most as a director, is you have to essentially be a polyglot. And once you figure out how to speak the actor's language, that's all it really takes. I've had sessions where actors want line reads. They want something very prescriptive. And I never want to do that because I want to let people discover things and find them the way that they are. And sometimes they're like, no, please give me something very specific to mimic. And okay, great. That's awesome. Other times people really want direction could that voice be crunchier? Mm-hmm. They're tactile. You're very velvety right now. I'd like some more crunch to your texture. Or, this is a little flute-like. I think that this character might be more of a I love using musical language for voice actors. It's really, really helpful. Even if it's finding the pace of a scene, this scene isn't a disco, this scene is a waltz, and let's figure out what that means in terms of tension between characters. And then still others, just today, I've got a session on Saturday and I met the actor so that we could go over some of the voices. He's like, this character is going to be kind of like my version of Uncle Ruckus. I was like, from the Boondock Saints? That's amazing.
Okay.
I love it. I love it. And he did a little bit of the voice and he's, and I was like, great. I think that sometimes what works just works.
And that's the other thing. And that's something I tell people all the time when they ask about making character voices. Sometimes the best choice starts as a really bad impression.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think, does everyone now know about the Hank Azaria Mo thing? So Mo on The Simpsons is Hank Azaria's very bad Al Pacino.
Yes.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes. And you can hear it once you know that. But I would never pick that out of a lineup had not knowing it.
Yep.
You start with something just a little off center, and then you make it fit the character. And sometimes it doesn't even need to wander that far if it's just an incidental character. Like one of my go-to impersonations is Patrick Warburton, and I use that as a piano mover in a Josie's episode because I just needed to be a big guy who was distinctive enough.
Yep. Anytime I have been asked to do like a fairy queen or some sort of high fantasy character, and they say they want an accent, but they don't want it to be a definable accent, I do Isabella Rossellini. Because her accent is half Italian and half Swedish. And it's not a perfect Isabella Rossellini impression, but she's got this very strange lilting cadence. And I've never been called out on it so far. It might be now.
Well, if anybody listens to the podcast and calls you out on it, well, then we can... This is how we track our SEO. How are people finding these things?
Exactly.
Yeah, and voices are so beautiful. And once you feel like once you know Tom Kenny, it doesn't matter how, like, Tom Kenny has an incredible range.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But once you hear it,
Right.
you know a Tom Kenny voice. Charlie Adler, same way. Carlos Alazraqui, same way. Tress MacNeille, June Foray.
Yeah, June Foray, oh my God.
And Tara Strong as well.
Yes.
So there is a DNA underneath all these voices that is there. Like Bubbles is Timmy Turner, and you hear it. And then if you hear Tara Strong in an interview, you're like, that is what is underneath all of these things.
Yeah, Laura Bailey has an amazing range.
Oh
but
my God,
she's at the end of the day, Laura Bailey.
I think when it comes to voice acting, as only a fan of the art form and being a huge nerd for it, the reason I can point out Stephen Bloom in anything is because, A, Stephen Bloom mostly sounds like Stephen Bloom in a lot of stuff, but even when he's Grunt, even when he's Wolverine, like there is the Stephen Bloom underneath, and then there's a voice. We're lucky enough to have Yuri Lowenthal on here not once but twice, and I adore that man. He sounds like him, 90%. Like everyone's like, do Spider-Man, and he's like, okay, I am, because Spider-Man is his voice.
Right.
Do you separate them into two camps? Like H. John Benjamin. H. John Benjamin has H. John Benjamin's voice.
He sounds like
He's
this
not
the
trying to do
entire
anything
time.
else.
Exactly. He doesn't have to change anything. This is who he is.
Bob and Sterling Archer,
They're so different, completely
clearly
different.
different characters.
Yes,
and that's
absolutely.
like, is that a different kind? And you're right, that's the acting. That's the finesse, the finesse and the difference here, where you're playing a harp instead of a cello.
Different instruments have different versatility to them. And sometimes there's something interesting in applying them outside of their usual. Or there's just simply the fact that, like, oh, that just blends in. That just is. Like Keith David's another one who's got, like, a great plethora and range of characters. But you hire Keith David to sound like Keith David.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't like change. His president in Rick and Morty sounds very similar to his Goliath, to his Admiral Anderson. Like they are all along the same line because that's the voice you want. You're hiring this man to project that booming voice.
Yeah, and I think that it probably you hire Mark Hamill and you want that gravel.
Right. You want something different. You want him to transform, but ultimately it still bleeds from the Joker because that's the voice he's done the most, that he's most well known for.
I think is it Skips? Is it Skips on
From regular show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hold on a second. Wait. I love this.
Yeah.
What an off the wall choice.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he played the Joker for that long because he is capable of off-the-wall choices. He was the guy who came in and went, well, if you're the Joker, you laugh. And laughter is the way that you express all these different things. So you do a lot of different kinds. And so he would talk about his warm-up, you know, the joy of being in LA was it takes half an hour to drive everywhere, and that is your warm-up space. So somebody would look over at some point and just see Mark Hamill kind of thing.
Just stuck on the 5.
Because he's just going to work.
Exactly.
I love that so much. This is where I don't want to sound like a gatekeeper or a wonk, but those are the moments where you realize that like voice acting is quite different from acting in many ways because you have a thought like everything needs to come through the voice. And what is Joker? Joker is laughter. He is the clown prince of crime. And so if I can't laugh on this line, if I can't deliver this in a funny way, it is not a Joker's line. That's just a different form of thinking. And it's different then realizing that, as Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger or Cesar Romero, I have to embody the Joker physically in a different way. It's so fun. A lot of people think I can do voices, therefore I can voice act. And
I can play Smoke on the Water on the guitar, therefore I am a guitarist. Or I can play Smoke on the Water on Guitar Hero.
Right, yeah.
But to yes and that metaphor, you'd have to go, okay, but how does Smoke on the Water sound when it's sad?
Yeah.
And how does Smoke on the Water sound while it's being drowned by its, stepdad? Why'd I go there? That's weird.
I don't
How is Smoke on the Water as a polka? How is it as
Smoke
a
on
waltz?
the Water as a polka?
How is Smoke on the Water as a ballad?
Yeah. You can't just, it can often start as mimicry, but you then need to ensoul it.
Yes.
And figure out how to look at it from 3 dimensions. Too many people will get stuck into, they'll paint themselves into a corner and go, this is an accent I can do really, really well. And it's an accent they can do a speech in really, really well.
Right.
And then suddenly, like, great, your character has now gotten news that their mom is sick. And you can't do this accent because you can't hold both of these things at once. The emotional truth of your dying mom and this voice that's rather hard for you to do. That's where, like, I'll never be done. And I think that's why you have voice actors like J.K. Simmons and Jim Cummings and people who, and June Foray, who will do this until, 80s and 90s because it's never done. Your craft is never over.
Yeah.
And you can look like hell and you can still do it.
Jen and I are going to be podcasting from the old folks' home. Bet your ass.
Oh, that's cute.
I'll be doing weird characters wherever I can, whenever I can.
Are you saying that you won't have families that will support you in your old age and that you're going to get dumped off on in home?
No, they're shipping me off next week. This is not.
This isn't.
They're getting rid of me.
Yeah, this is. They're solving a problem.
The booth's coming with me, but they're just taking me with it.
Jen and I are just going to live in the booth together. That's how this is going to go from now on. Don't know where Sarah is in this metaphor. Probably has. Both of our Sarahs have escaped, absconded without us, probably. But Rachel, this was such a lovely conversation. I feel like we could do it for another 2 hours, but unfortunately, we all should probably get some sleep.
You're right. I got to be on a train at like 7 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
It's fine. I traded LA for clean country living, so now I got to take a train to get in the city.
But this was wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us. We will, of course, chatting with y'all over at Good Story Guild as we get closer to release. But for now, I would love for you to tell folks where they can find you online and then, of course, find Good Story Guild and Cat Secretary.
Well, you can find everything that we're working on in both audio and interactive on goodstoryguild.co. I highly recommend, if you are a fan of these 2 hosts, and especially if you already like Jen's work, please check out Josie's Lonely Hearts Club.
It's phenomenal.
It's
so fun.
So much fun. We had Jen on season 5 and season 6, and season 6 is actually a prequel season, so it's a great place to get in on the ground floor for this season. We have 3 limited series as well, and are working on another one, which is a hard sci-fi that will be released later in the summer around the same time that Cat Secretary comes out. So that's where you can find us. We have a Discord, a Patreon, all that good stuff. But if you head to goodstoryguild.co, that's the HQ. That's where we really are proud of that website. So go from there.
Hell yeah. And we are planning in our production schedule of releasing this episode around when Cat Secretary's demo is released. But if it's not out right now when this episode is out, it will be soon.
Going to be in time for Steam Next Fest. I can't thank you enough. I am so glad. I don't even care that it took over a year for this to happen. I am so tickled. And I love that we've reconnected in so many weird and wild ways, and then get to share our love for games and voice acting here in this format for you.
It was a pleasure, and we will definitely do it again. And hopefully it won't take 10 months to a year, but no promises.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows? I'm about to pop out a baby, so I hear
that's true. You're going to be a lot busier.
I hear they're kind of time consuming.
I have been told that, yes.
Yes.
TBD.
We'll figure it out. You'll figure it out.
Anyhow, thank you so much. What a joy.
Thank you. This has been, oh God, I always have fun on this podcast. It's the most fun I've had in a little while.
Oh, sweet.
But at this point, we put it to you, listener. Are you excited for Cat Secretary? Have you already tried out the demo? Are you a big fan of audio dramas and podcasts and have already checked out Good Story Guild? Are some of these new things to you? What sort of challenges do you see in the audio field and in interactive storytelling and any of the other delightful, high-minded, highfalutin concepts we went on tangents for here? Let us know. Reach out to us. There's so many great ways to get in touch. We are Fun and Games Pod across all social media that we are currently active upon, which as of this episode is Blue Sky, Instagram, and Tumblr. We are funandgamespod@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of this episode, what you thought of previous episodes, what you'd like us to talk about, and who you'd like us to talk with on future episodes. If you happen to run into a character and go, oh, wait, that's Jen's voice, take a screenshot and send it to us. Be really weird about it. Be like, I see you, or something else that might be admissible in court as some kind of threat. I don't know. This will all get back to us. This is all fine. You can visit certainpov.com and find not only other fantastic Certain POV podcasts, but also a permanent invite link to our Discord server, where a lot of these conversations continue and topics for plenty of episodes start up. If you do enjoy what we do and have the means or desire to support us, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/funandgamespod. There is a free tier, so if you just want a one-stop shop of all the things Matt and I are working on and access to the RSS feed for all our episodes, you can get that there. But we are so grateful for all of our patrons, especially those on the high scoreboard. Today, the high scoreboard is Alex Lavelle, Case Aiken, Daniel Nyden, Sean Bowen, Film It Yourself, Dave Jackson, Tales from the Backlog, Alejandro Alves, Curly Bright, and Chris Copleen. Thank you so much for your support. Please enter your initials. I'm going to need one with high energy, one with medium energy, and one that can kind of carry us out of the scene.
Also, a free way that you can not only support just us, but games like Cat Secretary as well. Go wishlist it on Steam. Wishlists count. They really are a great metric for seeing the excitement behind a game. A free way to show that you love podcasts like the audio that Rachel and her team create. Go on a podcast platform of choice and rate and review it. Every rating helps. Every interaction helps. Share it, tell a friend, all of that. In fact, if you can take one friend and shake them until they subscribe to a podcast, that's really the best way to get new listeners. So I'm not encouraging you to shake your friends, but I'm also encouraging you to shake your friends.
So whether you are taking down the AI within your corporation, whether you're just bopping around trying to make coffee, or this is your first episode of Fun and Games, thank you so much for being here. This is a conversation. Thank you for being a part of it. I'm Jen Moonen.
And I'm Maddie K. Stormageddon.
And happy gaming.
Do you find yourself playing older games and wishing that there were new discussions about those games? Enter Tales from the Backlog. Hi, I'm Dave Jackson, and on each episode, I'm joined by a guest to break down those games that may be stuck in your ever-expanding backlog. Each episode looks at one game in depth, focusing on mechanics, story, music, and other aspects with no spoilers until a clearly marked spoiler wall in the middle. If you've played the game, go ahead and climb that spoiler wall and enjoy in-depth story discussions, and if not, jump out when we warn you and maybe go play that game for yourself. We have over 100 episodes in the feed, everything from Disco Elysium to Tunic to discussion episodes about how to get into horror games, and if games actually need to be fun, or if they have more to offer. I guarantee that there's something in there for everybody. Once again, that's Tales from the Backlog, available wherever your podcasts are found.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.